those of you that watch this video, this is not a livinginthenews.com video. This is a family video. Some of you may or may not know that my mother was adopted, and so during the time of my childhood, I did know some of these, what we might call blood family. Ron and Chris right here. I lived with Ron and Chris when my wife Ronelle and I met each other, and they helped us, and we dated and we got married. So these guys are the reason that my wife, and also Ron here, recruited me into the Air Force. I did get to meet Bobby. Bobby came to our house, but that's a story that we'll tell a little bit later in this video. And so I did know Bobby. And Vernie, we went to your house in Arizona.
Amy.
Excuse me, Amy. Okay. And so I did know some of these, but we didn't know very much. I mean, I guess Ron and Chris were the ones that we knew the most. But this story today is the story of a family finding themselves, a family that has been all over, and many of them didn't know that they existed. You're going to hear Ron's story about how he found out that he had an older sister, and then you're going to hear other stories. So I just wanted to share that that's what this is today. This is a personal and family story of a family finding themselves together. And is this the very first time that everybody's been together except for my mother that's here?
Yeah.
This is the very first time that they've all been together, and this is a wonderful story. Some of you may enjoy this, and some of this came about because of Ancestry.com. Research here on Ancestry.com, and I know that in my travels a lot of you now are taking those tests, Ancestry.com, and this is the result of some of those things. So I just wanted to share that with you, and if you stick around and if you want to see the rest of the story, you'll be able to see a family that's gone through a lot. Thank you guys for being part of this.
If his cousin hadn't sent him a test from Ancestry, he never would have found all you guys.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys start it. I'm going to actually let Ron get going here. Ron, go ahead.
Okay. One of the things he wanted to know was how it came about that I met his mother, our sister, Barbara. And I don't want us to forget that we do have another sibling that cannot be with us because she died a few years ago. The way that I found out about Barb is when I joined the United States Air Force, I had to produce a birth certificate, which I'd never seen before, but I finally got it, and it said number of live births, this woman, and it said 2. Up until that point, I thought I was the oldest. Come to believe now, I wasn't. So I went on a search, talking to people, and a few years later we got restationed out in Mountain Home because I found that I had a sister up in Weiser, and I called her, and she wanted to know who was calling, and I says, "This is your brother, Ron." And she burst into tears.
Oh my Lord.
She had been told that we had all died in an automobile accident. She did not know that we were alive. And from that point, I do believe word slowly got out to Donna, to Chuck. Amy actually, or rather Bertie actually came out to Idaho and met her a while later, and we all came to realize that we had an elder sister. So, am I right though or wrong in saying that Bertie and I were the only ones that actually came to Idaho to meet her?
Yeah.
Okay, but you have met her.
Yes, I was very fortunate. Barb, Alex, and the 3 boys came to Tucson while I was living there
Cool.
in either 79 or 80.
Okay.
No.
And nobody else has met her.
No, I talked to her on the phone a couple times.
Okay.
Very nice lady over the phone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was
she
nice.
was a sweetheart in person, too. Red hair, freckles all over her body.
I received a letter from Barbara. And at that time, all I could say is I just couldn't put it together. I was still in a lot of pain, and I really didn't want, I don't remember honestly, but I know I was in a lot of pain and I didn't return the call. And I'm sorry for that. to this day. But it was where I was at that time. I had met Robert, who told me that I was not his child. Personally, I could have cared less. I do not call them mother and father. I call them, if I have to refer to them, they're Verna and Robert. Mother and father, they were never. I never had a mother and father. You know that, and I'll talk about that later.
Right.
Well, Bobby and I, neither one ever called them mother and father either. We had a mom and dad because we were fortunate enough to be adopted. We had our problems.
Actually, Bertie, you were still a little baby. Weren't you still
Bobby was
diaper?
about 18 months old.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I was just over 3 when they took us in.
Right.
But they did not adopt us until 1956 because the courts couldn't find them. Either one of them. And in order to adopt in the state of Ohio, the biological parents have to sign off. If they cannot be reached within a certain time, the children are automatically put up for adoption.
Through the state.
Through the state, yes. And mom and dad had decided they wanted to go ahead and adopt us.
And one of the funny parts are that everything that we were told, these are our twins.
Yeah.
So I was born in 50 and he was born in 52.
And they're not twins, but Ronnie, myself, Elmina.
I always
Amy,
grew up
everything.
thinking there was a set of twins younger than me.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we all thought.
Yes.
It had to been these two. She better look
Yeah.
than you, though.
Everybody's better looking than me.
I always wanted to meet the twins. So hi.
Yeah, Ed and Seal were a surprise to us.
Very much.
About a year ago, and they are very welcome members to this family.
Very much so.
I've been to Seal's place up in Orcas Island, although I understand they're moving soon. And Ed and his wife Amanda, of course, have been over to the house numerous times.
But they live
So-
in Mountain Home also.
Yeah. Funny thing, a year ago is when I found out about Ed. At that point, he had been living in Mountain Home for 6 years, and we never knew each other.
Yeah, we'd actually talk to Walmart, you know.
Right,
Talk to each other in
Oh
Walmart?
yeah, we talked about sometimes to go up to the register and buy stuff.
right. You know, so
I remember the first time I met you though, I walked up, it was Christmas time, everybody's busy. I said, can you check me out here? He goes, I don't check out men. I said, just help me.
Sounds like
He
him.
would.
Now, if it had been Chuck there, you'd have seen the family resemblance.
I can see a
You
little
don't
bit.
think so?
I don't know.
It's the nice dyed hair. I keep this color on purpose.
I think I was the one who started this latest surge.
Yes, you are.
December of 15, I saw something on Facebook where a 60-year-old woman had found her mother. And I thought, what the heck? I'm going to see what I can find. So I sent my money into the state because I was born in Walla Walla. So, state of Washington. And found out, I got a copy of my original birth certificate. It did not have a baby's name on, but it had Verna Etta Russell and Robert C. Fry. So I got on Ancestry, put in Verna Etta Russell, and found a picture. 3 people had a picture of Verna Etta Russell and a sister. So I wrote through Ancestry to these 3 people and got an answer from one. I found out later that all 3 people were Donna. Donna
okay.
DeGraw. And we had conversation going back and forth through the portal, and she said, I don't know, let me ask my mom. And I'm thinking, oh my, her mom's still alive? And she wrote back later that night and said, yes, we are cousins. And it all exploded from there. All of a sudden, she did not know of Ed. She knew of the rest of you, but had no idea where you were, how to contact. And so her expertise through Ancestry started doing searching, finding you guys and trying to pull us all together. I also had an Ancestry DNA test, and when I got that back, I put those results in, and there was one person that says not exact match, but very close match. And all this person had was himself and Verna Russell and Robert Fry, and it was Ed. So the family knew nothing about either Ed or myself. And since that time, I have been tears, laughs, chills, goosebumps. And just yesterday, for the first time, met Amy, Bobby, and Chuck. Last year, Donna and Genevieve had a family reunion. Met Donna and Ed at that time. And then had occasion to go on a trip, and we stopped by Mountain Home and met up with Ron. Had dinner with Ron and Ed. Wow. Wow. I had one. I was adopted as an infant. I speculate that I was left in the hospital. Don't know for certain, but since the birth certificate had no name on it, that's kind of what I'm guessing. Found out that Ed was definitely left at the hospital because the hospital tried to get hold of Genevieve and her husband to have them pay the bill.
Oh my.
And Genevieve knew there was a child, John David. She didn't know what gender, you know.
Yep.
That's just wrong.
Can I say something here?
You sure can, dear.
Interject.
You gotta speak up a little bit, though. Can't hear you.
Interject? Okay.
Yeah, you're talking to the Fries. We can't hear.
What's that?
Well,
I wish. Go ahead.
I was going to say, in the interview that I heard, said that you were 7 years old
Speak up.
when we were separated.
I was 7 at the time. We were separated. I was placed in a children's home, as was Donna. And Chuck told me something last night that I wasn't aware of. Go ahead and say that.
I was also placed in the children's home, but it must have been it with little kids.
Okay.
Because I remember it. That's one of the few things I do remember about that.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. Did you
A
recall that?
cute woman would push me back and forth on a swing. I
Oh,
remember.
okay.
She was pretty.
Okay. Anyways, it was at that point in Upper State, Ohio, in Sandusky, that we were actually separated.
Right.
Now,
Sandusky was the home of Robert, basically. His family was from there.
anyways, Donna, didn't mean to cut you off. You want to interject?
Please, go.
It's fine. I'll probably tear up somewhat, but this is not a positive story. This is a negative story. I don't know where to start. Without the help of George, I would never have known how to love, because I was never loved. I was used as a, I don't want to say slave, but
Go ahead. That's what your foster sister Harriet said, that you felt like you were a slave.
yeah.
I had the opportunity to work with her, and we talked a lot about you. And she said you didn't know how not to work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You didn't know how to relax at all.
Yeah, and I still have a problem to this day. You all know that I lived in different homes. When I was at the children's home, one positive thing was when I got there, Ronnie must have gotten there at the same time. We were separated. And I screamed and I hollered and I did probably everything a little bratty kid does because I wanted to play with Ronnie. And finally they said, okay, children's home, boys were on one side, girls were on another side. So finally, in this middle section, they allowed Ron to come out. I went out as well. I remember he had an airplane. I probably have told this story to y'all, but he had like a paper airplane that Robert gave him. And being Ron, he started to show off to me the paper airplane, and then he started pulling it apart. And me, I thought he was breaking it. And I remember saying, I'm going to tell Daddy on you. That's the last time I saw Ron until I lived with the Myerses in Wakeman, Ohio. And a lot of SHIT went down in between.
Right.
That's called shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I got figured out.
Yeah.
Say it the way it is.
I was, when I was at the children's home, I don't know if they did this to anybody else, but they thought it would be nice for this one family to take me out and show me some sights. It was on a Sunday. Well, they took me out. I was either molested or raped. I don't know. But I remember when everything was said and done, they walked way ahead of me and I just walked with my head down behind them. When I was in another home, I was molested. When I was 18 and graduated from high school, I was basically told, well, we're not getting any more money for you, so you need to go.
And that's what you and I were just talking about, Ron.
Right.
Yeah?
We were fortunate because Mom kept him for a couple more years without him. So we were fortunate where you weren't.
Donna?
I don't blame any of you. It's just, sometimes I just find it really hard to love, you know?
Well, you never knew how to love. They didn't show you any.
Well, I know that, so.
We got it now. We all love you.
That's okay.
You know, I'm fine. How long were you?
George has helped me a lot through it.
6 years.
What happened? Did they believe you if you told them?
No. You have to care about somebody. First of all. Even the welfare person, Miss Stockdale.
Oh, I remember that.
She never talked to me. When she was moving me from home to home, there was nothing.
All she was doing is placing us.
Yeah, that's all. One time she did take me to some place for my feet, but nothing became of that. I lived, I had so many, I had people promising me things that were taken away, and one of them, oh Lord, Blomquist. Blomquist was a family that was not a good family. They had dogs, and I don't know how old I was when I moved there, but I wasn't old enough to go into the dog pen, so I got to clean up the shit around the house about 4 o'clock every morning. And then I graduated into the dog pens. And I didn't know how to play. I had to fold papers for the dog pen or work in the garden pulling weeds. Where was I going with this? Oh, I talked about Miss Stockdale. She could really care less. I think the best family there was the Myerses.
Harriet is a Myers, is she not?
Yeah, and I love her dearly. I love Harriet.
She always had something good to say about you, except for the fact that you didn't know how to relax. If that you would do the work that they all were supposed to be doing, you took it upon yourself to do it because you didn't know anything better.
Yeah, I didn't. You know, that was my life. Hey, you know, why was it my life? Well, I remember being told, if you don't behave, I'm going to send you to the...
Have you learned to relax yet?
Be sent to the juvenile hall. No, not really. I'm working
Because
on
when you
it.
came to Arkansas, you were always wanting to clean something.
Well, it needed it.
I'm not a good housekeeper, I know that. But you were overdoing it.
Yeah.
You know? Instead of sitting and relaxing and enjoying the time together, you had to be up and moving, like a nervous energy.
Yeah.
Now these two guys, I could see come in and pop their big butts down and say, "Where's the beer?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Yes, you
You know,
would.
that is everything that one goes through. It makes their life.
And I would say in the refrigerator,
the way it
go
is,
get it
that's
yourself.
all your experiences make you who you are.
Yes, they do.
He wanted to work. He wanted to show people that you could do things in order to earn their love, which they weren't willing to give.
I suppose that was part of it, also to not be kicked out again. I was told I would go to a reformatory.
Oh my.
Might have been better.
Yeah, it could have been, yeah. But get back to the one story I wanted to say was, and I don't want to monopolize things, but one thing I wanted to say was I was living with Blomquist, and that's where the dog kennel was, etc. And they had been reported, and there was going to court type of thing. So it was buy new dresses. But first of all, let me say, when I went to the Blomquist, I came from a family that they changed my name, bought me new glasses, bought me all these clothes, but I did 3 things wrong, and they got rid of me. I did 3 things wrong. I bit my fingernails, I bought an O. Henry bar instead of going to the cafeteria, and I forget what the 3rd one was. So anyhow, I was sent to the Blomquist with everything that I had, and they took it all away. I never had that. They gave all my toys and all my dresses to
What
my
city were you living in?
Zaleski.
My neighbor,
And
one
they
day
gave it
told
all to
me-
the granddaughter.
My neighbor, Nancy Braun, she says, "Mina, there's your sister over there." My sister? I was so shocked to see you. And we spoke a couple times.
I remember meeting you and Bobby on the street. I remember going to your place and playing. And I think your father had to call me or call the Blomquist to come and pick me up. I remember being in Brownies. I remember it was in a children's home where the Brownies were. The meeting was. I remember going upstairs, wondering if this is where I used to live. But I wasn't in Brownies very long because I think you two were in Brownies. So I wasn't. Well, something happened. And they kicked me. Okay, they kicked me.
Oh, Barb. My
Barb was in
sister.
Brownies.
My
I was
sister.
in Girl Scouts.
I was a bluebird.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyhow, I wasn't there very long. And it's just like one of those things. Everything, they give and they take it. Swimming, they gave and they take it. I went to court because they were summoned. And before I went to court, she took me to a singing instructor who said that I had perfect pitch. They gave and they took it away after court. So, it's that's who I am. Really pisses me
That
off.
really explains a lot of what we have seen in the last few years. Now, you were basically missing to us from the time you married George.
Yeah, we didn't know where you were.
I don't remember who you contacted first. I think it was him. And we all started coming back together. But I couldn't remember your last name. I know it started with the H, and that was the only thing.
I didn't even know that. I said to Donna DeGraw, I kind of warmed up. Because the first meeting out here, I was emotional, I grant you that. But very few people would come and talk to me. And I guess I should have talked to them. But anyhow, I got carried away because they were singing Happy Birthday. I don't remember what I was going to say. Anyhow, I was kept away from you guys, and then I went to another place to live, and the daughter hated me with a passion, and so did the mother. I don't know why she had me. That's when I really started gaining weight. I would sit there. I really, because that's the only thing I felt I had control over, how much I ate. And she went to work one day. She worked on the fair, Kern County Fair. She was on the fair board. And she left me out in the car for 8 hours. Just things,
That wouldn't fly today.
No, it wouldn't.
She'd be in jail in a heartbeat.
Well, she should have been in jail for a lot of things. It wasn't just me. She had another girl there. Her name was Carol, but they called her Honey because her own daughter's name was Carol, and that girl was popular. This Honey, they told her she was brain damage, and she had to take these 20 pills a day, and all they were asking. And if she argued against them, they would lock her in the closet. So I remember going to the bathroom and stepping over dog and things like that. So I get kind of obsessed, I guess, when it comes to my health. It's not immaculate by any means. Okay, so much of that.
I didn't know any of these folks until I got a proxy email from Seal Westlake about our brother and sister, because she talked to Donna DeGraw and Genevieve Russell. So after that, I got to talk to Donna, and we were talking, and she says, you got other relatives, other brothers and sisters out there. And so she said, I'll send you an email. So she did. She told me I had a brother named Chuck that lives in Ohio. I have two sisters, Amy and Berta, that live in Arkansas, and Donna that lives in Arizona, and Ron that lives in Mountain Home. So being the bright bulb of the box, I got back here and says, you got it mixed up. I'm the one in Mountain Home. And so she comes back and says, no, you have a brother in Mountain Home. Well, Lord and behold, it happens to be this gentleman down here, Ron, who I'd seen and talked to many times while he was processing riders that I was purchasing. Didn't have a clue. So with that, he started with the reunion last year, meeting Seal and Donna for the very first time. It was a very emotional gathering. And then to find that we have more that we can bring out this year, meaning the two good ladies down there at the end,
Ronnie and
yeah, that we're able to have this. As far as my personal venture went, I was told as a child that I was not adopted by my parents, and I believed them because the older kids said I were older cousins, and so I just knew that they were full of it. And then when I was working on the Deschutes National Forest, I get this letter in the mail, no return address, no note in it, just a copy of my adoption paper or birth record that had Robert Fry, Clara, or Etta Russell, Bernetta Russell. And it was just a few years after that, I thought, I might look into this, so I did. Well, I found out later, after last year, that if you don't have a middle name, there's tons of Werner Fries out there. And I was just beating myself to death trying to figure it out. And then in '89, while I was working on the Deschutes, I get this letterhead. It has a copy of that birth record with their names on it. And so then I started searching, and anyway, Seal cracked the safe code and started this whole ball running. If it hadn't been for her, I would have known about you guys, and you guys would have known about us, at least as far as I know. So for my 64th birthday last year, that was my gift for my cousin Linda to get this DNA. I don't think I could ask for a better birthday present now. Before I was kind of, yeah, right, okay, well, I'll do it for you. But I'm so happy she did, so I get to find her family. I grew up as the only kid in the house, and if anything was broken or missing, it was my fault. And I had a decent life. You know, I can't complain because other people have a lot worse life than I've had, you know, in their times. But I was regularly spanked almost on a daily basis with the belt, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. My mom, after she got divorced, she was working 3 jobs to put clothes on my back and food in my belly, and things got tough for her doing 3 jobs, and she shipped me off to my aunt and uncle, who I loved dearly. They passed a few years ago, on a huge ranch, and we didn't have internet or cell phones or anything like that, so we played outside. That ranch was the best place to play outside. I could chase the chicken, I could go ride the horses, I could go out and poach if I wanted to. This isn't going to be on the air, is it? Oh, yeah. But I'm so happy because I didn't have any older sisters or older brothers. You know, I had a half-sister who was in a nursing home in Montana, 2 stepsisters who I haven't talked to in years. One just passed away a while back. And my cousin Harley, who was the brother of the lady that got me the DNA test, he was the closest thing that I ever had to a brother. So him and I played baseball together, we worked like that and stuff. And I've always wanted to have a brother. Well, that dream's been fulfilled too after 64 years. I got brother Ron and brother Chuck. And I know I'm just rambling on, but I couldn't ask for anything more. You know, even though we will probably never have experiences as we would as youth in these bonds, but I don't think it's too late to start. And I'm just thrilled about all of this. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Uncle Leroy?
yes, we have met.
I think he wants to hear about everybody.
I'm Leroy Russell. I'm Bernie's next to her youngest brother. I had one younger brother than myself. His name was Charles. And I was quite a bit younger than Bernie. And I don't remember her a lot when I was growing up because she was older, quite a bit older than me. And I remember her mostly in 1950 when she came back to Sandy. And then I got to know her a little bit better. And she had some children at that time. I never knew how many she had. But she didn't have but 1 or 2 with her.
What was she like?
Well, she was kind of a worldly person. You know, she knew quite a few people, and I don't think she worked at a job, so that made it difficult for her to get along probably with her husband or whoever she was with. And I hadn't seen her since she left home when I was, younger, about 5. And so I didn't really know her until that time. So all the memories I have of her was from about 1950 until about 1955.
She had me by that time.
Did she have you?
I was 46.
And that's all the memories I have of her. And I was kind of handicapped when I was younger because I had bad eyesight and I didn't know it until, probably around 6 years of age. Until after I started school. When I started school, they checked me and said I needed glasses. So that's when I got glasses.
Okay, I really don't have that much to say because I had what you would consider an easy life. Did I get the belt? Oh yeah, and I knew it was coming because I didn't earn it. But other than that, no.
Other dogs.
But
Go ahead.
that was good. Yeah, my life was fairly easy. Mom had a hard life. She had Ronnie and I there. Me from the age of 6, Ronnie from the age of 13. And our dad decided he was going to leave her, so she was stuck with 7 kids. So we were never adopted because that little bit of money did help to put us together. But we had more love than you could ever believe. It was great. So I really can't say much one way or the other. I just have had a happy life, and I just love life. No matter what's happened to me, and a lot has happened to me, I just love life, and I just go on with that. I've got a great wife. What part of that?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
He's got 3 beautiful daughters. I know that.
Nothing to be sorry about.
Sue was a great person.
Yeah.
And my grandchildren, my daughters, fantastic. Love them dearly.
And they love you.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen their posts.
I'm sorry about that.
Heather marked you as her hero.
It's hard for me to talk about it.
I know.
We'll move on.
Adopted as an infant. I always knew that I was adopted. No question about it. My brother was also adopted. He was 2.5 when I came into my family's life. His name was Ed. So I now have another brother Ed. You know, Ed and my other brother Ed, my brother Ed and my other brother Ed.
Well, I did that with Barbara.
My dad was a salesman for DuPont, and so we moved all over the country. And my formative years, 2nd grade through 8th grade, we lived in Cleveland, Rocky River, Ohio, which I found out was about an hour away from Wakeman, where these guys were. Had no idea, but I do have to say that there were periods of time when we were traveling around. I had a great feeling of deja vu that I had been in this place where my parents said I had never been before. My mom died when I was 13, which was very traumatic for me. And when you tell your father as a young girl that you need to go to the store for certain feminine things, what do you have to go to the store? I just need to go. Well, what for? Can I wait? No, I can't. That was hard to do. And my brother teased me relentlessly. My brother was tall and skinny, and he used to love to sit on me while eating a box of cookies or eating a thing of ice cream, saying, you can't have any. But I loved him. My adoptive family is all gone. My brother passed away in 2010. So finding new family, old family, original family means the world to me.
I'm going to do our story. Like I said, we were in a way very fortunate because we were adopted. But for 4.5 years, we were foster children. In that time, our grandfather, who is a dirty old man, it's the only way I can put it, thought that because we were both fearful of being sent back to the children's home, that he could do whatever he daggone well pleased, and he did. Because he put a fear of God in us that we were going to be sent to the children's home. And as we got older, I was told I was going to be no more than my mother, who was a blank whore. And of course that was a fear, because that was the story I had always heard, that she was a whore, father was an alcoholic, which I do believe is true.
He was.
I did meet him in 1970, and he was drunker than a skunk. But for the most part, in Sandusky, we did pretty good. But once Dad moved us to North Fairfield, which is a very small community, it's called a village, that small. Bobby and I both were basically workers. I had the personality. I worked in the store. And after the store closed at 8 or 9, then I was expected to go upstairs and do homework.
Me too.
And then be in bed at a certain hour. Bobby here had to carry pop bottles, if you remember those. They had to be taken to the basement. And those were narrow stairs. She did have the advantage. She had a dog that she could wrap around her little finger. Bobby is a dog person, very definitely. She has raised dogs. She's been married 3 times.
To dogs.
First one as a teenager. She left home.
Don't go there.
Yes, I am. It's part of your story. She left home at 16 to leave home. My mother was she'd give you what I call a backhanded compliment. Oh, you did a great job, but you could have done better if you'd have done this, type of thing.
Every time.
Every time. My father, I loved him to death. To me, he was one of the best men that ever lived. But neither one of them knew how to show their love for us. I was never held. She was never held. I asked Mom one time, she said, "You were too big." I was 3 years old. I was holding my kids at 16. If they needed love, they crawled up on Mama's lap.
And I was 2.
You weren't even 2 yet. But I have found out in my older years that one of the reasons my teeth were no good is I was malnutrition as an infant.
So that's why mine came out and why I have spine problems now.
Well, I asked Mom for Cheerios. It was the only food I knew. And I didn't have to have milk. No milk. Just dry cereal. And Charlie. That's the only 2 things I wanted. The Cheerios and Charlie. You.
Oh, your brother.
Yes.
Oh.
But I was found at one point down, we lived right on the bay, 3 houses from the water, and there were a lot of rocks there. And I was found down there with an old lady searching for money.
She was panhandling.
It was something I had to learn from my parents. Because no 3-year-old knows how to do that. But Bobby's been married 3 times. She has 2 beautiful sons.
5 grandchildren.
Yes, I keep forgetting about Eddie. She just got a new grandson, 2 years ago?
Almost two.
Almost 2. I have 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. I've been married twice. My first husband thought my best friend was better than I was, but she made him happy, so. And then my second husband, I waited 28 years to marry again. And he was 28 years older than myself. And I lost him to pancreatic cancer in 2008.
Okay, well, I started out as a child.
No, you didn't. You started out at 18.
At 7 years old, we were dropped off at a children's home in Ohio, Sandusky. Was in the children's home for 6 years. Was not a bad life. I had other kids that I could beat up on, and they beat up on me. At the age of 13, I was placed with my brother, and when I got there, I was cocky, arrogant, and I knew everything, and nobody else knew anything.
And you haven't changed a bit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm going to agree with him. He was.
But through some love and some
Discipline, I hope.
discipline was not wanting in this family. If it was needed, it was given.
But usually we deserved it.
Oh, without a doubt. At the age of 20, I got a draft notice. That was in 1965. And my foster brother-in-law, who was a Marine Corps,
I think he was 6, wasn't he? Or was he a 5 at that time?
he was an E5 at that time, decided that I could not go in the Army and took me down to the Air Force recruiter. Probably the best thing that ever happened to me. I spent 25 years in the Air Force, thoroughly enjoyed it, spent a year in Vietnam, but my first duty assignment was in Rome, Italy, which was real tough duty for a single GI. Let me blow you. But I met a young gal who quite literally stole my heart. I don't know if that was by design or mutual agreement, but we got married. And I'm not going to take you through the litany of things we had to go through to get married, but we have been married now for 48 years.
You know, the nice upside about his marriage, he was married in Munich, Germany, and his best man was me.
Exactly. He was stationed at Gießen Army Post, and we were able to get him down for the wedding. He was my best man. I have probably the only picture still in existence of him in uniform, because he
And
hated.
we'd all like to see it.
Oh,
I don't know if I've ever seen one.
I don't think I have.
Yeah, let's
Got
tell
some
you
of
what.
the
See?
but I don't think I
I
have.
used to see him.
Facebook, thank God.
After the Air Force, of course, well, it was while we were in the Air Force that we moved to Mountain Home, and we moved there specifically to connect with Barbara. And I'll leave it on that note. I started with Barbara. I will finish with Barbara.
I think that's beautiful.
One more thing I'm going to ask Bobby. You wanted to tell about a letter you got.
Yeah, that was 1979, I believe. I get this letter from a Barbara somebody. I couldn't pronounce the last name.
How about Sharia?
Oh, that sounds good. And it starts out with, "Hi, I think I'm your sister." Huh? You know, that was kind of shocking, so I had to absorb it for a while. And she goes on to tell me that our mother, our biological mother, had named her Roberta. Well, that was my name, so that was a little bit extra weird. And anyways, it went on from there, and so for my Christmas gift that year, my husband bought a plane ticket to come out and see her.
and you boys, and it was wonderful. Went to New Year's Eve party where there was no drinking, but we had fun. I just wanted to say, and she's a wonderful, beautiful woman. I loved her dearly. And your dad.
How you went about research and all that stuff all this time.
And how you brought this group all together.
Why you started
It's a lot of hard work, Donna. Take credit for it.
Are you ready?
It's on. It's going.
Okay. February of 2016, I got an email while I was doing genealogy, and a lady wrote to me asking if she could be a daughter of this family, and that was Seal. And I told her, I don't know, send me a copy of your birth certificate. And it wasn't maybe a minute later, I got it on an email. And I go, by cracky, I think we found our family. I have been looking since 1972 for these children. And Barbara and anybody that was related to them. And she, on the birth certificate, said Robert Claire Fry and Verna Etta Russell, and I told her yes, and that got the ball rolling. 3 or 4 days later, she says, I found my brother Ed, and I said, was he born in John Day? She said, yes. I said, Mom, we found our child, and that was the baby that we knew that Verna had, because they had called my dad, want my dad to pay for that baby, because the woman said her name was Genevieve from Pilot Rock, and it wasn't my mother at all. So my dad says, you'll play like hell getting money out of me. And from there, we started finding everybody. We found Ron. Lo and behold, Ed had been living in Mountain Home for 6 years, didn't even realize he had a brother there. And I told him to go and check on him. He went and checked on him. Next day he finally met him because he didn't have the courage to do it the first day. And anyhow, we went from there. And then we met Bobby and Amy because they were on there. And I found Chuck on Donna's Facebook account. And I buzzed him, and he didn't know me at all. And he said, forget you. And I never got in contact again until he called me. So that was really good. And I have enjoyed it. This is something that I've wanted for many, many years because we weren't complete. And now we are complete. We are a family. Whether they want us or not, we are a family. And
We do, all of us.
I am very excited and very, very grateful that this happened, that I'm going to get preachy here, but the Lord had opened the doors and we found them after a lot of fasting and praying. We found them, and now we are family. And I welcome them into my home and into my life, my mother too. And
Well, I want to take a minute and say not just thank you to Donna, but to Aunt G too. She opened her home to Bobby and I, and we've had a wonderful time, and it's just been, I'm ecstatic. I always knew that there was a Russell clan out there, but I never knew who they were. I didn't know there were so many children. And I'm thrilled to meet Uncle Leroy. He's the only one of my mother's brothers that is here today. And it just thrills me to meet him and get a chance to talk to him, as well as Seal and Ed, and to reconnect with Ron, Donna, and Chuck, because I haven't seen them in a little while.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of the work that Donna and Genevieve have done to bring us together. They have been absolutely fantastic, and last year and this year have shown so much love in welcoming all of us into the family. Last year, when I came for the reunion, not knowing any of the family and having only talked a little bit to Ed and a bit to Donna. I was scared spitless. I was not sure if I was going to be accepted into this family that I never even knew that I had. And they welcomed me with all of the love and understanding that they could give. And I just thank you so very much. I've talked to everyone here on the phone. I've talked to Aunt Maxine a couple of times. She is down in Phoenix, down in Arizona.
New Mexico.
And how old is she, Leroy?
90.
She's one of Verna's sisters, one of the twins.
She's 90.
She's 90 years old, and I've talked to her and I learned a lot from her. She has shown love over the phone. This family is absolutely amazing.
We love you. Just in case somebody besides family sees this, I have to mention, they spent a lot of money, but Bobby here raised, what, $500?
Well, I don't know how much for sure, a little
Well,
bit, but that
some
don't
money from
matter.
her church family to help Bobby and I come, because neither one of us could afford it. There was no way. We both live on just bare minimum Social Security. We were women that stopped to raise our family, so we didn't have the work history that probably the men had. And so we couldn't afford to come. And Donna and Genevieve and Bobby's church family
Well, I
said,
think
oh
all
yes,
the
you will.
family helped out, didn't they?
Well,
So really quickly, everybody tell where you're from.
Teal, start with you.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I was raised in Ohio, but I live in Cabot, Arkansas.
I live in Eastham, Washington. Was born in Walla Walla.
I was born in Portland, Oregon, but I grew up in Sandusky, Ohio, and I live in Jacksonville, Arkansas.
I was raised in Pine Rock, Oregon. Live in Pendleton.
And this is Donna's husband.
I lived in Pendleton and Pine Rock. Okay, I was born in Port Arthur, Texas, but live in Wakeman, Ohio.
I was born in Whitebird, Idaho, about 88 years ago. And I was married into the Russell family in 1947. And I've made the Russell family the same as my blood family. I love every one of them, and I want them all to know my door is open at any time or any day or night. I love them. I met my husband in Riggins, Idaho in 1947. We decided to get married, went to Boise, Idaho, took our blood test. He fainted. We finally got him awake and going, and then we went to the Assembly of God Church in Weiser, Idaho, and we got married there. Had a little short honeymoon in the one of the taverns not too far away. A nightcap, went home. Then we traveled back to Riggins, Idaho. He had lost his job, so we turned around and went back to Weiser. We lived in Weiser about 2 years, and then I had my first child in Weiser. So I am acquainted with Weiser and very happy to see these people that are still living in the big city of Weiser.
I just found out I was the only one born in Ohio, Sandusky, Ohio. Where have I lived? I've lived in many places. The last 4 years of high school, I did live in Wakeman, Ohio with Ron and Chuck. Oh, where do I live now? I live with my hubby, and that's nice.
I bet he appreciates that.
And
Prescott Valley, Arizona, 86315.
Your turn, Leroy.
I'm Leroy Russell. I'm the next to the youngest brother of the Russell family. I have one younger brother named Charles, and then I have 4 older sisters and 4 older brothers.
Hi, I'm Ron Fry. I was born in Weiser, Idaho, raised in Upper State, Ohio, and Wakeman. Joined the Air Force and have finally settled down in Mountain Home, Idaho, with the love of my life, Chris. You too.
Oh, me? Oh, my name's Ed Johns. I was born in John Day, Oregon. Lived in Madras in Oregon and Forest, Washington. But now I've settled down in Mountain Home, Idaho, because I had a brother that needed another brother.